For this lesson, you will need math tiles. So they would look kind of like this if we were using them in the classroom. These are little foam math tiles. But Miss Hodges and I sent home with you some paper math tiles that you can make. So look on your math workbook, and there should be a little piece of paper stapled to your math workbook that has a lot of little squares. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to color your math tiles. Now notice that I colored mine different colors, but each square is its own color. So you can color your math tiles first. You can use crayons, you could use markers, you could use colored pencils, whatever you would like to color with. And then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to cut out your math tiles. So you'll need a pair of scissors, and you'll need to cut out your math tiles on the lines. Try to cut really precisely, which means that you're cutting exactly on the lines so that all of your squares will be really close to the same size. Once your math tiles are ready to use, turn to page 525 in your math workbook. So the goal for today is we're going to answer the question, how do you measure length using non-standard units? Okay, so we have a problem that we're going to need to use math tiles for, and we're also going to have to draw something. So it says, Jimmy sees that his boat is about 6 color tiles long. Draw Jimmy's boat. Draw the color tiles to show how you measured. So go ahead and do this page along with me. Now we know from the problem that we need 6 math tiles. So here I lined up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 math tiles. Now, since I am going to have to move those eventually, I'm going to go ahead and mark my end lines here. And I think I'm going to do a little line across here and maybe mark where each tile ends. There we go. That way when I move my tiles, I can go back in and I can do what the problem asked me to do, which was to draw the color tiles to show how I measured. So it also asks me to draw a boat. So let's go ahead and see if I can find a spot up here that's the same width, and then I'll go ahead and make my boat. Okay. Oh, I wanted to do a sailboat, but I'm kind of running out of room. Let's do a little sail. Nice. There is Jimmy's boat, and the length of it is 6 color tiles long. Good job. Now on page 526, they actually want you to use real objects for measuring on this page. So I think they tried to make this marker look real life size. So when you're measuring, you make sure that you line up the end of it with your first tile, and then you just kind of keep lining up tiles until you get to the end. So like for this one, I'm going to put a tile here. I'm still not to the end of the marker. Put another one right next to it, and then put another one right next to it. Okay? Now, when you're answering it, it says about this many math tiles. Sometimes it's going to go a little bit past the end, or it's going to be a little bit shorter. Just do your best to get as close to the end of the object as you can. I also want you to remember that if you space them out too much, then it will seem like it's not as many tiles long. So you want to make sure that you're putting those tiles right next to each other so that you're actually measuring as closely as you can. So for this marker, at least for in the notebook, you might want to measure a real marker. But here in the notebook, from what I'm seeing, I'm going to write that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looks like 5 math tiles long. Okay, now down below, oh, it moved my tiles too. Okay, I think I fixed it. Okay, so down below here it says use real objects. use math tiles to measure. So you need to try to find a real crayon and measure from end to end how many math tiles it is. Okay, don't use this paper one. Use a real one. Then if you can find a real stapler, or you can estimate how long it is, measure a real stapler. Then if you can find a real paintbrush, measure a real paintbrush from end to end. And then you should have a pair of scissors because you cut one out. You cut out your math tiles using one. So go ahead and measure your scissors. So we're going to measure from this end of the scissors to this end of the scissors. And on each one, write about how many math tiles you think the object is. Now, on any of these, if you can't find that object at your house, which is understandable because you're not at school, then go ahead and see if you can think of anything a similar length. And just kind of write over here what you actually did measure and about how many math tiles it was. Same for the next page here. When you're ready, move on to page 527. And again, it says use real objects, use math tiles to measure. So if you have a watercolor paint set at home, go ahead and use that watercolor paint set and measure it and about how many squares. If you have a bottle of glue, if you have some kind of a notebook, you could even use like your writing journal or something like that. And then down here we have number 8, we have a pencil. You can measure a pencil and about how many math tiles long. So just do your best. If you don't have any of those things, again, just maybe write in what you did measure and about how many math tiles it was. Then on number 9, it says, the green yarn is about 2 math tiles long. So here's our green yarn. About how long is the blue yarn? So I would say you could go ahead and use your math tiles to measure this blue yarn and write in about how many math tiles long it is. If you'd like to, you could watch the Math on the Spot video that goes along with this. When you're ready, move on to page 528. I think this page is pretty fun. So it says solve. Number 10. Mark measures a real glue stick with math tiles. About how long is a glue stick? Circle the answer that is most reasonable. That means makes the most sense. Okay? You don't actually need a real glue stick for this problem. I would prefer if you didn't. I just want you to think about how long you think a glue stick is. So right now, I want you to line up one math tile and see if you think that a glue stick is that long. Then I want you to line up 4 math tiles, see if you think that a glue stick is about that long. And then line up 10 math tiles and see if you think a glue stick is about that long. Whichever answer you think makes the most sense, circle that answer. So it's either about 1, about 4, or about 10 math tiles. Then when you're ready, move on to number 11. 11 says, bow has 4 ribbons. Circle the ribbon that is less than 3 math tiles long, but more than 1 math tile long. Okay, interesting. It has to be less than 3 math tiles, but it also has to be more than 1 math tile long. Okay, so figure out the one ribbon that follows those rules and circle it. Then for your last problem today, you're going to do number 12. It says the crayon is about 4 tiles long. Draw tiles below the crayon to show its length. So I would go ahead and line up your 4 math tiles and then kind of mark where each one ends so that you can go back and make the squares and maybe even color them in if you want. Okay? All right, that's it. Great job on your math today.